hey there, people of the grid. I am driving the 2011 Nissan Leaf. This Leaf is 9.5 years old. We picked it up on, I think it was January the 26th of 2012, although the year was 2011 for the Leaf. And we've been driving it ever since. It's been our car that whole time. It is our daily driver. It's the car we use to get around. Sometimes our kids use it. It's just been an amazing car for us. So what I'm going to do in this video is take you through how it's been for us, what we've been doing with the Leaf, how we use it, and also I'll cover off the numbers because a lot of people, and it's important to know, how do the batteries last in these things, especially where we live, where we face some pretty extreme temperatures in the winter, and I would even say we're getting into some extreme temperatures in the summer. In the summer, we see anywhere up to, I think our record this year was 37, 38 Celsius. And in the winter, we can regularly hang out around minus 15 to minus 20 Celsius, and then we'll dip down for a bit to around minus 30, minus 35 Celsius with the odd, day going even colder than that. But some pretty varying temperatures, summer and winter. This car has survived 9.5 of them with us. So now on the odometer, we've got over 108,000 kilometers. For many people though, they get rid of their vehicles well below they get this advanced in odometer readings. So we keep ours longer, especially if the vehicle's working for us and working well. I see no reason to get rid of it because this car is paid for and it's just saving us money each time we drive it. So it's been great that way. Now, as you can see by the range, I charged it up to full because I have to take it up to Nissan. We're going to get an upgrade in the car. When we bought the car, it came with 2G connectivity, which is a very old cellular spec, which allowed the car to communicate with Nissan, and more importantly, for our app on our phones to communicate with the car to do remote start, remote heat, basically. And so right now, because 2G is being cut off here where we live and pretty much everywhere in the Western world, we have to upgrade our unit to 3G, which will allow it to communicate with Nissan. That 3G should allow us to do remote starts. So the battery state in the car, I mean, it's still usable. I'm driving it right now. It still provides heat and all of that stuff. The thing that does get impacted, and it happens with all EVs, is over time, the battery will degrade. Because this car is now almost 10 years old, let's call it 9.5. It's over 9.5. Because it's been running regularly for 10 years, the battery has degraded a bit, and the amount it's degraded, I don't have the stuff to connect to the car, but from what I can see on the dash, it's 25%. So I've lost 3 of my battery bars out of 12, so I know it's degraded 25%. I'm probably due to lose 1 more bar, probably in the next year. So what does that mean? Well, when we got the car brand new, I think the rated range on it in the summer was something crazy like 160 kilometers. That's what the guessometer would display. It would say you can drive that far. And then depending on how you drove, if you drove it harder or faster, ran a lot of heat, whatever, that would impact the range you'd get. On average, we were easily in the summer able to do, I'd say, about 120 kilometers in a given trip. Now, 9.5 years later, in the summer, we're easily able to do about 90 kilometers in a trip. Now, in the winter, and I'll say this for EVs, for the Leaf, especially this generation of Leaf, way back 2011, 2012, in the winter, especially if the winter's a real winter like ours, where it gets seriously cold and you get slush and snow on the road, just cut it in half. That's roughly what you can expect. So in the winter, when the car was new, we could roughly get about 60 kilometers easily out of the car on a full charge. Now, with the battery degradation, we can easily get 45 to 50 kilometers out of the battery with a full charge in the winter. And you might say to yourself, wow, that's not a lot. It is and it isn't. If you look at the average profile, the driving profile of like 90% plus of drivers in North America, that fits into their daily commute. That will cover their daily commute. And don't forget, that's starting out in the morning with a full charge, which this car every day in the morning has a full charge. You can charge in the middle of the day. So what I used to do, I would drive it to work and I'd plug in. By the time I got off work, the car was again full. And then I would drive back home and, it'd be at whatever it was, 50, 60%, and I'd plug it in at home. So you can charge numerous times in the middle of the day. For us, early on when we got the car, there was no charging infrastructure anywhere. We were the first Leaf in Calgary, and we had the first residential charging for EV for this car. That meant we didn't have a lot of options to charge anywhere. I could plug into a 120 volt socket, you know, like you'd plug in your phone or your laptop. And if I did that, it would take, and it still does, in an hour, I get anywhere between 5 to 6 kilometers is what I get in an hour of charging. Not a lot, but you know, if you're down at work for 8, 9, 10 hours at a stretch, that's more than enough range to get me back home and leave me with more range than I left the house with. So that worked out pretty good, and it still does. Now, with their kids driving it once in a while, they're just taking short trips to school, which are like less than 10 kilometers away, and that's just once in a while. So it fits very nicely into the driving profile of most people, even with the reduced range. Now, the thing that has changed in 9.5 years is that there are so many more chargers available. Public chargers, pay for chargers, and high-speed chargers. So now, even with our impacted battery, we have a lot of charging options, and this car can get us pretty much anywhere in the city that we want to go and back. But we don't use it that way. We only charge at home because it fits in the driving profile that we do. And if we need to drive more, then we've got other options. But this car, you know, again, it's been just a workhorse for us. With all of the room that I've got in the back, we can actually throw bikes in here, we can throw camping gear in here, and use it as a little truck. So in the city, this thing's been very versatile for us, and it's held up really well. So because I've got a longer trip, it's about 44 kilometers from our house to Royal Oak Nissan, which is where we're going. I figured I would cut through downtown, which there's speed limits going through downtown, so I can't go as fast as I would on the ring road, but that makes sure that I can get there. So there's some trade-offs you got to make. It's not a huge one. It's going to cost me like 10 minutes, but I'll get there, and then I'll plug into the charger that they have at Royal Oak Nissan, and the car will get charged up for when they're ready to work on it tomorrow morning. This car, by the way, it loves stop and go traffic. So driving through downtown, stopping for pedestrians, stopping for lights, the Leaf loves that kind of driving pattern because you're driving slower and it doesn't consume any energy barely at all while it's standing still or driving slow. So perfect conditions for the Leaf. Another question you might have is how has the heater been? This car has a I can't remember what kind of heater it is. You can look it up. It's a 2011 Leaf. It's the first. It's basically the one where they cross the wires and they create heat through electricity. It's been working great. We're on the original heater in the car. Haven't had to replace it at all, and it heats up very quickly. Still heats up faster than a gas vehicle. You know, faster than our truck or our van that we used to have, and it keeps us toasty warm. So if you want heat in the car in the winter, this thing will provide it. It's going to chew through a lot of energy to do it. So what we usually do is we turn down the heat a little bit, so it's kind of room temperature-ish. We run our house at 23 Celsius. Room temperature for us is 20. So we'll turn the heat in the car down to 20 or 19. So you're not freezing. You're still warm. You've got heat. And we run the seat heater, which I'm doing right now. And it's, what is it outside? 5 degrees Celsius. Perfect, right? I don't even have to run heat in this temperature. The seat heater provides enough heat for me to keep me warm and comfortable, and I've got the steering wheel heater on as well. Now, one more note on the battery: if you're in the market for an EV, Nissan Leaf or other, one thing that I would highly recommend you get is a car that has battery thermal management. They didn't really have battery thermal management. The only thing they added for cold climates, which this car is in, is they wrapped the battery with thermal wires. So basically, if it gets to minus 20 degrees Celsius, 20 or 21, minus 21, the car will actually turn on those heating wires to keep the battery from freezing, which is a really important thing to have. So it's got heating for the battery in the winter, but only when it's really cold. Doesn't have any cooling, which created an issue for people that were driving these cars and fast charging them at Chatham chargers. It's called ChargeGate. For this class of car, it existed. So if you wanted to do a longer trip and go fast charge, drive, fast charge, drive, the battery would get so warm that it would refuse to charge at a fast rate. It's protecting itself. The BMS is doing its job. So that's not our driving pattern. We've never run into driving on a hot day and not being able to charge it quickly in our garage at home. It's always charged quickly, you know, the same speed it ever has. So that hasn't been an impact. Heater works great. Battery, you know, it's not ideal. I'd want cooling on it as well. And, you know, if I buy another Leaf, it will definitely have the cooling half as well as the heating half to keep that battery always nominal for you. That extends range as well. The only other big question that I think everybody should have is, after 9.5 years of owning and driving this car, would we buy another Leaf? And for me, the answer is absolutely yes. This is a great car. I think the current ones are even better because they've got way more range. They've got higher capacity batteries. 9.5 years, a lot's changed. Better electronics, better everything. So because this car is being so good, I would say absolutely I would get into another Leaf. We like to buy new cars because we own them for so long. But if you're in the market for a used Leaf, I'd give that a thumbs up. Just make sure that you check what's left as far as battery range and how far is being driven, because you can tell if it's being driven hard or not that way. So. Well, there we go. Made it to Royal Oak Nissan. We're at the back where the charger is. We're going to plug the car in. It'll be fully charged by morning, which is perfect. And we should get it back and we'll be able to communicate it with the app. Pretty excited about that. Okay, I got to get the car plugged in and get myself back home. Got your bag, man? Yeah, I got my bag. Car's in really good shape. It's got a little bit of rust spots here and there, but I mean, for 9.5 years, it's done really well. That's funny right there. That's a little solar panel, charges the 12-volt battery. Totally useless, but good for marketing. So good job, Nissan. See you soon, little Leaf buddy. All right, let's click up here. That's the beginning, the kind of the first month, first year that we got the Leaf. This is what I use to basically track all of our Leaf expenses. I break it down for every year. I've been tracking how far we go in a given month, how much energy we put into the car, all of that stuff, figure out the electrical cost, and then I break that down to a cost per kilometer. So way back when we first got it in 2012, our cost per kilometer was up at 2 cents, 1 cent. So to propel the car, pretty cheap. It's still at that same rate. So even in it right now in 2021, our cost is still 1 cent or slightly above 1 cent. This is the summary sheet though, and this is the big one. So the total we've driven with the car so far is 108,802 kilometers. Little more for this month than what's in the car already. And then we break that down into our electricity costs. So this is how much we've spent propelling the car that far. We've spent 1,204. That's Canadian dollars, which, you know, if you're running US dollars, that's it's less than like around $900-ish, $875. That's pretty decent to drive it that far. That's because some of the charging we've done at public chargers, which don't cost us anything. We have done some maintenance in the car, a total of 6,400 and change over the 9.5 years. And usually it's been pretty low every year. These were just regular checkups in the beginning. And then here in 2018, we did a fair bit. So if we take a look at, you know, what our costs were in 2018, it was a new windshield. We replaced the 12-volt battery, the little guy that runs all of the radio and the stuff. We got a new set of tires, and we had some significant brake work done. So that was a big year in 2018. Nothing in 2019, nothing in 2020. This year, 2021, was also a big year. What did we do in there? We basically had, again, brake work redone and tie rods. One of the tie rods holding the wheels broke, and the wheel was kind of sideways. It was pretty ugly. So we got that fixed, and control arms as well. It was only the one control arm that needed done, but Nissan had said, look, if one's gone, the other one's probably on its way, so you should replace them and, you know, do them in pairs. And we thought that was good advice, so we did it. They found a spare part at the wreckers, so it didn't cost us as much. It wasn't new, and we got it all fixed up. So, and there's some extra charges coming. It's going to be about another $2,000 for that 3G unit. That's a, you know, convenience thing that you don't have to do. We want to be able to remote start the car, remote heat it. So we opted to go into that because we're still getting a lot of use out of that, especially in the winter. It's nice not to have to go out and sit in the car while it warms up. So our total expenses overall, not bad at all. 6,400 over 9.5 years. That's pretty decent. I do a final calculation down here at the bottom, which basically just calculates based on what we paid for the car, which for the Leaf was 52,946 Canadian, brand new. Based on what we paid and how far we've driven and all the money we've put into it to drive it, what is our actual cost per kilometer? And right now we're sitting at 56 cents. So started out high and then it just goes down. The more you drive a car, the longer you own it. As long as you're not putting a lot of money into it, your cost, total cost over time should go down. And that's what we're seeing. So 56 cents a kilometer, it's pretty decent, not bad at all. Those are our actual costs, and going forward, I don't think we'll be spending a whole lot more on it, you know, as it is, because it's actually looking pretty good. So yeah, thumbs up for the Leaf. If you're thinking of getting one, I would definitely recommend it. And we've been really happy with ours. Everyone who's driven it loves it. It's got some good get up and go. When you step on the accelerator, you get the power. And it's a fun, quiet car to drive. So that's my review. If you do have any more questions that I didn't cover, pop them in the comments below. Give the video a like, and I'll scroll through and answer your questions down there. And if there's enough of one type of question, we'll just do a whole new video for it. All right? Okay, Mike, out.